Hello and welcome to another episode of the UFOcast as Captain Scarlet, episode 9, Seek and Destroy. And it's been quite a while since I've recorded one of these. Obviously I'm releasing these week after week for you guys, but there's been a bit of a pause for me in terms of production, so it's nice to be back. And we're on to disc 2 of the 4-disc Blu-ray set. So we're a quarter of the way through the series. And this is something of a filler episode. I mean, most Captain Scarlet episodes are filler episodes, really, but there's nothing of a big narrative going on here. And it's fine. It's the episode that Captain Scarlet, Captain Blue, and Destiny Angel spend half of in a ditch, while the angels are whizzing around fighting each other. While the angels are fighting the Mysteron angels. And it's fun, I suppose. One of the interesting things watching Captain Scarlet now, well, in any of the Jerry Anderson series, is how the vision of the future has aged badly in many ways. When I was watching these as a kid in the 90s, they were, 25 years old, and yes, some aspects of the future had aged already, but now there just feels like even more of a gap between what they envisage the future would look like and what it actually does look like. And obviously we're still 50 years off when this is set, but the idea that somebody would go on holiday and you wouldn't be able to contact them without having to kind of physically go to their location and figure out where they were. Obviously, they have their helmet mics, and so the idea of like a global organization with the ability to communicate is there. But the idea that like Destiny wouldn't have a mobile, that she would be completely cut off, is just funny watching now. And maybe that's also just a reflection of the fact that back then there was more of an idea that if you were on holiday, you were on holiday and you were cut off from your work, and that was fine. I don't know about a top secret military organisation, but anyway, it's just funny that they have to kind of go, Destiny's not here, she's on holiday, she's the obvious target, we're going to have to go find her, rather than just being like, ping, send her a text, we're going to come and get you. And then the whole like matchbook thing, which seems to have been a staple of like 60s and 70s shows where a matchbook would be a clue in a mystery. I've just recently seen the Evil of the Daleks Blu-ray, and one of the clues in that episode where the Doctor and Jamie are trying to track down the TARDIS is a matchbook. And the Doctor acknowledges that this is a very slight clue, the idea that this matchbook identifies the cafe that they're going to find the person in. And of course they do, because plot contrivances. And here's the same, it's like, oh, okay, Destiny's left a matchbook in her hotel. Of course, that's where she's going to be, and it is where she's going to be. And I suppose it's another reflection of a world that is no longer with us. Smoking has massively reduced, and most people don't carry around a book of matches from a cafe. In fact, I don't know. Do cafes? Is there any cafe out there that still produces its own matchbooks? So it's just a reflection of a different world. But it's an interesting aspect of the whole thing. We also get an insight into how Spectrum works in terms of the top secret building of their aircraft. Though the fact that the managing director of the Fairfield company is like telling the fire investigator straight away, oh yeah, here's all I know. Spill my top secret beat. It's very much for the benefit of the viewer, I guess, that we now know what's going on. Captain Black, very creepy in his appearance. There's that question of like, does he know the name of the driver because of some spooky Mysteron power, or is it just the fact that the Mysterons do their research? I don't know. But it's a nice creepy scene when he comes along and sets fire to the crates, Mysteronizing the aircraft. And I suppose it's interesting that actually, from the point of view of this episode, there's very little Mysteron puppet action. It's not the usual, we've taken over somebody who has a role to play in our plot. It is literally, we've taken over some aircraft, which I suppose we've seen before with Winged Assassin. But the focus of this episode is very much the Mysterons controlling hardware, as it were, and the spooky aspect of seeing a plane control itself and fire, and the fact that they're not sprayed, so you can easily tell the difference between the evil Angel aircraft and the real Angel aircraft. The Angel battle itself is quite dynamic. I mean, it does to some extent show off the limitations of what they were capable of at the time. But that said, there's an interesting variety of shots that you probably don't get from other Angel encounters, mainly because this is the focus of the episode. They're really showing off what they can do. I mean, there is the whole thing of well, okay, the Mysterons have threatened to kill an angel, and now you've sent 3 more into battle. Which I suppose Colonel White does address that, going, I'm sure you'd rather be out fighting than waiting to be killed, which I suppose makes sense. And poor Harmony Angel getting shot down. And there is the thing of like, okay, you're fighting in the sky above Captain Scarlet, Captain Blue, and Destiny Angel, and there's some very near misses with wreckage, with them sitting in the ditch. And I suppose it does feel like an episode where Captain Scarlet, again, has very little to do. I suppose we do get his sixth sense of like, I know something's wrong, which, again, is one of those plot contrivances, which is, if it's convenient for Captain Scarlet to notice that there's something dodgy going on, then he will, and if it's not, he won't. So all in all, sort of middle-tier episode, I would say, it's fine. It does its job. This week's Spectrum agent is Tony Cross.
I have just watched Captain Scarlet Seek and Destroy. It's the first Captain Scarlet episode I've watched for probably a good couple of decades, if not longer. I was never a massive fan of Captain Scarlet. I think it might be because the repeats came off sort of a point where I wasn't really watching sort of Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet type stuff. Or it could be just I missed it. But whatever reason, I never really watched a lot of it. I was familiar with the concept, obviously. I know what the Mysterons are. They're the evil aliens that can transform themselves into a replica of anything human or object. Like in this episode, they transform themselves into 3 fighter jets. But and I know knew that Captain Scarlet was immortal or indestructible. I don't know whether he's immortal. He's indestructible, and that there was an evil agent called Captain Black. But apart from that, I wasn't really familiar with the concept. So the angels who are basically fighter pilots who are part of the sort of team that operates from Skybase alongside the various agents of the rainbow colours. They basically fly the planes. And in this episode, specifically, the Mysterons threatened to kill one of them. Captain Scarlet and Captain Blue are sent to Paris to collect Destiny Angel, who seems the most likely person to be killed. On their way back, they're attacked by these 3 fighter aircraft, and the rest of the episode is fundamentally a battle between the angels and the 3 Mysteron fake aircraft. I mean, that makes it sound more complicated than it actually was. It's actually quite simple and straightforward. And half the episode is basically a air battle. It was entertaining enough. The setup was good. I wasn't hugely excited by it. I am very impressed with the puppetry, the model work, and the voice work. I like the fact that Captain Scarlet appears to be Cary Grant, which is always an entertaining thing to listen to. But I think I suspect Seek and Destroy is one of the sort of more light episodes. Oh, that has said, it's been ages since I've watched Captain Scarlet. This is the first one I've watched for a while, and I'm going to watch some more as part of this project, for want of a better phrase. I enjoyed it. It's only half an hour long. It's not a huge amount of time to spend watching something. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun and entertaining. I can't say much more than that.
If you'd like to contribute to a future episode, please visit ufocast.co.uk/captain for more details of how you can record your own piece or write something for me to read out. Episode order. Well, this is episode 15 on the DVD. So again, later in the run, if you're watching on the DVDs. 7 on the old VHS order. So roughly in the same place as it is on the Blu-ray. And there's not really much to talk about in the rest of the categories. There's no new Mysteron powers as far as we can see. Captain Black is still the only Mysteron at large. It's a win for Spectrum, broadly. Obviously, they've lost some of their Angel aircraft. Whether insurance covers Mysteron attacks, I don't know. And there are no Mysteron puppets to add to a gallery because there are no fresh Mysterons this week.